We are making a video. Today we are covering lesson 3.3.B, calculating the volume of composite solids. Alright, let's look here at this first one. Let's see if I can make this smaller a little bit. Will that work? There we go. Okay, so we're looking for the volume of this silo. Let's see how we would calculate that volume. Treat it as two separate things. The bottom half is a cylinder. The top half is a hemisphere. Alright, if it says the radius is 5.4 feet and the height is 16.9 feet, that's a pretty small silo, but let's just assume that's what it is. Okay, so for the hemisphere part, the volume is 4/3 pi r cubed, but since it's a hemisphere, that we have to divide that by 2. Well, r is 5.4, so it's 4/3 pi times 5.4 cubed divided by 2. But then we have to add on the cylinder part. The volume of a cylinder is base times height, but the base is a circle, and the area of a circle is pi times radius squared. So the volume of the cylinder part will be pi times, it's still 5.4 squared, and then the height is 16.9, so we're going to add those two together. Let's take out our calculator and let's calculate it. Oops, I gotta get the smaller calculator. There we go. Okay, so we're going to add those two together. Let's get our fraction key, and the numerator is actually a fraction 4/3, and then we're going to take pi times radius, which is 5.4 to the third, over 2, and then we're going to add to it the red stuff, which is pi times 5.4 squared times the height, 16.9. And we get, ooh, what did I do wrong? Oh, we have to put in a times sign there. Alright. And we get, well, that's in with pi as the label. We want it in decimal notation, so it's 1877.98, and it says round to 2 decimal places, so that's what we would say, 1877.98. Let's look at the next one. Okay, we're going to treat this as a cylinder, which would be the left and right ends, this part and this part, with a rectangular prism in between it. Okay, so let's get the cylinder first. Oh, I can't do yellow. I'll do that in black, okay? So this part here. So cylinder, remember, is base times height, but the base is pi, that's a B, times r squared, and then times the height. Okay, so for this cylinder, the radius is half of n. So it's pi times 3.1 over 2, because n is all the way across, so the radius would be half of that, squared, times the height of that cylinder, which is this distance m. M is 3.1. We're going to add to that the area or the volume of the box. The length is 5.8, but the area of our box is 5.8 minus the distance that this cylinder would be, which is half of n, but there's also a half of n over there, so it's half of n twice, which is just plain old n. That's the length times the width, which is n, and it says is 3.1, times the height, which is m, which is also in this case 3.1. So we get out our calculator. Let's do the first part, pi times the fraction 3.1 over 2, but we're going to square that, times 3.1, add to it the rectangular prism, which is parentheses 5.8 minus 3.1, close parentheses, times 3.1 times 3.1, and we get 49.34. Round your answer to how many decimal places? 2. 49.34. Next one. Find the volume of this square house. Okay. The only letter that's missing here is S. I can't get that all on there. Alright, so let's take the volume of the lower part, which is already red, so why don't we just leave it red and do 26 feet times 26 feet times 26 feet, or that's 26 cubed, plus the pyramid. Now the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 base times height. So it'll be 1/3 times the area of the base is 26 by 26, or 26 squared, and it says the height of the hip roof is 10.5. So when we get done, we can add those two together, and we get 26 to the third plus 1/3 times 26 squared times 10.5, which is 19942. Next, find the volume of this house. Well, what I'd like to do is to treat it as a as though this is the bottom, and then after we get it done, we're going to set it up so that when it's setting up, it looks like this, and we will be able to find the volume of that as a prism. So let's take the base of this thing, which is made up of two parts, this part here and this triangle up here. So the rectangular part is H times W, the triangle part, is W times the height of the triangle, and then you got to take half of that. Well, the problem says that this is 20.5, this is 14, this is 7.5, the height of the triangle, or this is 7.5, it doesn't matter which way you do that. Okay, so we're going to add those two together. Let's get their actual length. So it's 14 times 20.5 plus 20.5 times 7.5 divided by 2. And then when we get that answer, we're going to multiply it by the distance here, which is 40. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is our parentheses. 14 times 20.5 plus a fraction 20.5 times 7.5 over 2. Now we're going to close the parentheses and then multiply that by 40, and we get 14,555. Okay, so that's how you do these problems. If you need any help, let me know.